Welcome to The Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. Republicans have been calling for Kamala Harris to visit the border, but to no avail. Now they are urging Biden to replace her. But we're not sure what the Biden administration's priority is, since it's spending billions of taxpayers' dollars to service illegal immigrants. Following the Fox 26's Ivory Hecker, another reporter is exposing her network's discrimination on Project Veritas. Some Democrats aren't intimidated by the church's move to bar pro-abortion Catholic politicians from receiving communion. But if you don't follow the Catholic teachings, why do you choose to remain Catholic? The Arizona audit is examining all ballot anomalies. Senate liaison Ken Bennett shared why examining every single little detail is so necessary. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. Republicans in the House are urging Joe Biden to remove Kamala Harris as the border czar. More than 50 GOP lawmakers co-signed a letter last week, pointing out Harris's disservice to the American people. It reads, "Despite being in the midst of a border crisis this country has not seen in 2 decades, Vice President Harris has not yet shown adequate interest in observing this crisis firsthand. We sincerely urge you to find someone else in your administration to assist you in getting a handle on this border crisis." Democrats who represent areas along the border have also called on Harris to make the trip. On June 15th, Democrat Representative Henry Cuellar from Texas wrote Harris a letter. He said, "I believe it's critical that you meet with local stakeholders and residents, consider their concerns, and use their live experiences to implement more effective policies." After her trip to Mexico this month, Harris relented under mounting pressure and said she would visit the border at some point, but nothing has happened. Her inaction continues. The most affected states, Texas and Arizona, have stopped counting on the Biden administration for help. They're calling on other states to send law enforcement to patrol the southern border. Following Florida, Nebraska became the second state that has answered the call. On Sunday, Governor Pete Ricketts announced Nebraska will send troopers to Del Rio, Texas. Del Rio has seen a significant surge of illegal aliens who typically try to cross the Rio Grande, the river that serves as a neutral border between the United States and Mexico. Governor Ricketts said the disastrous policies of the Biden-Harris administration created immigration crisis on the border. While the federal government has fallen short in its response, Nebraska is happy to step up. Also in Congress, 10 House Republicans are demanding the Biden administration disclose how many billions its taxpayer dollars are being used to accommodate illegal immigrants. The lawmakers said they've seen reports showing the Department of Health and Human Services have diverted more than $2 billion from coronavirus-related initiatives to cover the cost of public service for unaccompanied minors. As part of the administration's Catch and Release program, tens of thousands of border crossers awaiting release into America stay in hotels before being sent on buses or flying to other states on commercial flights. These illegal immigrants don't need ID to board flights and don't need to prove that they are negative for the CCP virus. The Republicans said it is precisely these practices that encourage children to make the dangerous trek to the southern border. Instead of securing the border, Biden's policies are fueling the crisis, and it must end. Currently, another migrant hotel is set to open in Yuma, Arizona. This new hotel will be one of the many funded by an $86 million operation ordered by the Biden administration using taxpayers' money. Americans have the right to know how their hard-earned money is being used. Last Friday, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops decided it will now draft a measure on Holy Communion. It will be put into a vote at a meeting later in the year. This issue is getting a lot of attention because it would determine whether or not pro-abortion Catholic politicians, including President Joe Biden, are worthy of receiving communion. During the White House press briefing on Monday, a reporter asked Press Secretary Jen Psaki about Biden's reactions to the bishop's actions. This is how Psaki responded.
Well, Joe Biden is a strong man of faith, and as he noted just a couple of days ago, it's personal. He goes to church, as you know, nearly every weekend. He even went when we were on our overseas trip. But it's personal to him. He doesn't see it through a political prism, and we're not going to comment otherwise on the inner workings of the Catholic Church.
Statements by the bishops make the president reconsider his public support for policies that, increase access to abortion or allow access to abortion?
Again, the president's faith is personal. It's something that has helped guide him through some challenging moments in his life, and that's how many Americans see their faith as well, not through a political prism. So I would suspect he will continue to attend church as he has for many, many years.
I think what Psaki was suggesting is that the outcome of the document would have no impact on Biden and that he'll continue to claim he is a devout Catholic while upholding his pro-abortion stance. Another reporter challenged Psaki.
Does the president believe that a 15-week-old unborn baby is a human being?
Are you asking me if the president supports a woman's right to choose? He does. Go ahead.
Psaki, like all other pro-abortion advocates, deflected the questions on abortion by saying it's a woman's right to choose. They would never respond to questions about whether an unborn child is an independent human being because they know the answer. An unborn child is a human being and no one has the right to end another person's life. It's unimaginable to think a mom would end her own child's life. But the left has changed the concept. They replaced the morality of the issue with something that people take for granted, like, this is your right, or this is health care. Well, it's neither. But for people indoctrinated by this narrative, they really believe abortion is their right. And Democrat Representative Ted Lieu is one of them. As the bishops mull over the issue, Lieu tweeted, "I'm Catholic and I support contraception, a woman's right to choose, treatments for infertility, the right for people to get a divorce, the right of same-sex marriage. Next time I go to church, I dare you to deny me communion." Representative Lieu thinks it's his right to receive communion even if he doesn't follow Catholic doctrine. Well, this seems to be the consensus among Democrats today. To Lieu and his ilk, you cannot decide on religious teachings. You either follow all the teachings or take up another belief system. And another thing you need to check, why would you choose to be a Catholic when you oppose so many things the church teaches? After reporter Ivory Hecker blew the whistle on Fox 26, a reporter from CBS 62 said she'll expose the network's discrimination issues on Project Veritas this week. April Moss, the weather reporter for the CBS affiliate, made the unexpected comment during a live segment on Sunday.
But all good things must come to an end, and that starts as early as tomorrow morning with showers moving in around 8 a.m. And speaking of a brand new week, I will be sitting down this week with Project Veritas to discuss the discrimination that CBS is enforcing upon its employees. Tune in to Project Veritas for my full story. Now, later Monday, we will see those showers continuing through late morning.
Moss has been with CBS 62 or CBS Detroit since 2012. She has held a variety of positions, including meteorologist, weather forecaster, fill-in news anchor, and local TV reporter. During the Sunday broadcast, Moss didn't go into detail about her accusations against the network. However, in her online fundraising campaign on Give, Send, Go, she wrote that she felt led to stand up to the medical discrimination that was being enforced by Viacom CBS on its employees. Viacom CBS is the parent company of CBS Detroit. Moss said Viacom CBS mandates individuals to be tested for COVID-19 as a condition of employment. Following Moss's courageous comments during her weather report, Project Veritas posted, CBS 62 insider April Moss is the latest brave individual blowing the whistle on her network's corruption. The undercover group then posted a conversation between Moss and CBS Detroit's chief engineer, Chuck Davis, telling her she would be fired for what she did.
Hey, Chuck.
So I saw what you did on the air yesterday.
Yes.
You may get terminated for that. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am.
All right, so you're okay with that then?
I understand if CBS decides to let me go. I do understand that.
Why would you do that? You know, basically, that's the most selfish thing I've ever seen in 36 years working there.
We don't yet know what Moss is going to expose about the network, but at the very least, we know Moss is not a selfish person. She sacrificed her job to tell people the truth. According to Project Veritas CEO James O'Keefe, Moss has recordings, emails, and other evidence showing journalism at CBS 62 is being done unethically. We definitely look forward to that reporting. Now, let's look at some financial news. Last week, the U.S. stock market was volatile. One big reason was last Wednesday, the Federal Reserve raised its expectations considerably for inflation this year and brought forward 2 interest rate hikes for the 2023 outlook. The stock market doesn't like interest rate hikes because they drive investors away. On Friday, St. Louis Fed President James Bullard told CNBC he sees an interest rate increase happening as early as 2022. As a result, all 3 major stock indexes, Dow Jones, S&P, and NASDAQ, plunged on the day. With inflation picking up faster than previously expected, it's time to prepare ourselves. So let's introduce our sponsor for today's show, American Hartford Gold. American Hartford Gold helps prepare for inflation. You can purchase physical gold and silver and have it delivered right to your door or into your IRA account, making it extremely easy. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients, Hartford is one of the highest rated firms in the country. And most importantly, and I stress, because you're a subscriber to the Eye Opener Show, if you call them right now, they will give you up to $1,500 of free silver on your first order. So don't wait and take advantage of this special offer. The number to call is 866-880-0328, or you simply text Mike to 65532. I've also included a link to the website in the description below. With that being said, let me grab my mug that matters and thank Hartford Gold for sponsoring today's Eye Opener show and helping our mission to deliver truthful news. Salute. In addition to hydroxychloroquine, a study shows that there's another drug that could be very effective in treating COVID-19. Recent studies show that Ivermectin, an anti-parasitic drug, could greatly reduce a COVID-19 deaths and may have a significant impact on the pandemic globally. The studies have been peer-reviewed and published on June 17th in the American Journal of Therapeutics. In the studies, a group of scientists reviewed the use of ivermectin in 24 randomized trials on over 3,400 participants. After assessing the efficacy of the drug in reducing infection or mortality in COVID-19 patients or people at high risk of getting it, the researchers concluded that ivermectin reduced the risk of COVID-19 death by 62% on average. Among hospitalized COVID-19 patients, the risk of death for those who didn't receive ivermectin was 3 times higher than those treated with the drug. The researchers also cited another review from April with a similar conclusion. The other report showed ivermectin reduced death by as much as 75%. However, neither the National Institute of Health, FDA, nor the World Health Organization has recommended the drug to treat the CCP virus. The FDA, in fact, warned not to use ivermectin to treat or prevent COVID-19. But the problem is the FDA also noted it has not reviewed data to support the use of ivermectin in COVID-19 patients. Does it really take so long for the FDA to review drugs that have existed for decades, while it has no problem analyzing data of the newly developed vaccines? It's rather inaction than incompetence. While not even reviewing the data, the FDA strongly discourages the use of the drug. It says, taking a drug for an unapproved use can be very dangerous. This is true for ivermectin too. But is it really true? The FDA provided little information for their assertion, and the author of the new studies argued otherwise. The researchers said the drug ivermectin has an established safety profile through decades of use and could play a critical role in suppressing or ending the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic. The suppression of treatments for COVID-19 makes you wonder if this is all part of a global push for vaccines. Talking about COVID, the Biden administration has extended restrictions on non-essential travel between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico till July 21st. The border has remained closed since March 2020. In Canada, the extended restriction at the border has caused widespread frustrations. With vaccination rates rising in both countries, U.S. and Canadian lawmakers, business leaders, and families separated for more than a year have been urging the governments to open the border. Last Friday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said the decision to keep the frontier sealed for another month was largely due to the government's concerns that fully vaccinated individuals may still transmit the virus to others. Trudeau wants at least 75% of the population to have their first COVID dose and 20% to be fully vaccinated before lifting the restrictions. Co-chairs of the U.S.-Canada Interparliamentary Group, Representative Brian Higgins and Bill Huizenga, said the delay to get the border open is a disservice to our constituents and millions of residents on both sides of the border. The Biden administration is also working on relaxing travel restrictions with the UK and the European Union, but there is no confirmed date yet. In a recent interview, Senate liaison from the Arizona audit, Ken Bennett, said the hand count completed this week also included reviewing undervote ballots. Undervote ballots are ballots where there was no selection for president or the machine failed to detect a vote. In the 2020 election, Arizona had 33,000 undervotes. The number of undervotes in Maricopa was around 8,500. The county, which includes Phoenix, makes up over 60% of Arizona's population, but only accounted for 25% of the undervotes. For Arizona, it's necessary to examine every anomaly because the 2020 race was so close. But how close was it exactly? Bennett offered an example to help you understand. In medieval times, a shire in England was broken up into about 1,000 communities. Today, many counties in England still bear the name shire, such as Yorkshire, Oxfordshire, and Hampshire. In November, about 80% of Arizonians voted in the election. Now imagine Arizona were a shire broken up into 1,000 communities. You can think of it as Arizona receiving 800 votes from its 1,000 communities. Joe Biden won the state by a margin as narrow as 0.3% or approximately 10,000 votes. What does that mean? That means the final election results were like 401 votes to Biden and 399 for Trump. If there were an additional 1% of ballots cast in the hypothetical example, the total vote would be 808 instead of 800. That could make a difference in the final results. For your reference, the number of undervotes in Arizona was about 1% of the total ballots cast. As Bennett pointed out, if you were in a race that was decided by 2 out of 800 votes, one of the first things you'd want to do is make sure you have every ballot counted. With the hand count finished, the audit has shifted to completing an examination for ballot abnormalities. Some of the issues auditors are looking for include the authenticity of the ballot paper, whether the ovals were filled in by hand or by a machine, and whether the ballots were official prints or photocopies. This paper evaluation process is expected to be completed by the end of the month. And that's it for today, my friends. Check out this playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me on the Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on UMaker, Gab, and Parler. Now, don't forget, sign up to the email list so that we can stay in contact with each other. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time.